Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hello. Thanks for being up early on a Saturday. We are so glad to have you. My name is Brandy Miller. I am a COTSIN PTN facilitator, and I have the pleasure of working with Clara and Heidi and Prabhati, who will be sharing their presentation with us today. So Heidi and Clara are second grade teachers in Roland Unified. I'm from Roland Unified as well. I don't know if I said that as well. And Prabhati teaches first grade in the district with us. Clara is a former COTSIN mentor, and Heidi is a former COTSIN fellow. And today they're going to be sharing their presentation on how to create a virtual writing toolkit. So for the presentation, I will monitor the chat. So if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. I'm going to scribble them down on paper, and then in places where it seems appropriate, I'll interject and ask the questions. Like Sharon said in the opening, resources will be shared at the end of the day. And before we get started for this session, we'd like you to rename yourself to include your grade level and the genre you're currently working on. So if you could include your grade level and the genre you're currently working on, and to rename yourself in case you're not familiar with how to do that in Zoom, if you just hover over your name and click on the box that says more, one of the options should be rename, and then you can just add your grade level and the current genre that you are working on. And while that is happening, I will turn it over to the fabulous Heidi and Clara and Prabhati to share about virtual writing toolkits.
Hello, everyone. We're so excited that you're here. And Clara, you want to say something?
Good morning, guys. I see a lot of familiar faces and some couple new ones. We're excited to be here with you guys this morning.
So today, we are going to, let me share my screen. We're going to show you step by step how to create a virtual writing toolkit. And Clara and I have gone through a amazing journey in this area, and we were able to attend some coaching sessions with Christy Moratz, and we learned a lot since we have been in this virtual setting. So you're gonna walk out today with how to create yours, and even with a template.
Okay. All right. So let's begin with our objectives. We're going to begin with the why of having your own toolkits, where to start, some steps to create the toolkit, and what to include. And at the end, we'll be going over our resources. We'll probably do some resources throughout. And then at the end, the way that this is set up is at the end, we'll have like some extra minutes to go over resources in detail. But for now, could any of you share what do you know about toolkits and how have you used them in the past? Or even now in the virtual? Do we have any volunteers that would like to? We can put it in the chat, or anyone can speak up and unmute themselves.
When I was in the classroom, right now I'm a coach, but when I was in the classroom, I used to have a folder with different tools that students could pull from if they needed help with generating ideas for whatever genre of writing that they were working on, or spelling toolkits or visual toolkits. So that was something that they had in a folder that they could draw from and receive support from.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Anyone else would like to share how they've had them in their classrooms before?
In the chat, someone's posted that students have writing folders with resources such as an alphabet chart, snap, word chart, writing process chart, etc. And students have an alphabet chart for sounds.
Okay. Yes, definitely. All, important to have that. And so we'll be through this session. Hopefully we get a couple more ideas on how to do this virtually.
So let's start with the why. We never want to do something without knowing why we're doing it. So I would like you to take 1 minute to read this quote from Christy Maratz, maybe 1 or 2 times. And then in the chat, we would like you to put your thoughts.
It's a great visual word. It inspires and provokes for the goal. And we're getting a lot of people that like to visually, they like to visually understand the Swiss knife, how there's so many different components within that little one, knife. And it could be your go-to for everything, right?
So if you think, in a lot of people like the analogy, and really, if you think about that Swiss Army knife, it has a variety of tools. If you have ever had one, my family, my mom's side comes from the Swiss, and my grandpa had this big Swiss Army knife. And at the beginning, I was very little, and I remember every time my mom would get in a bind, she would call him. He lived with us, and here he comes. The first thing he would take out of his pockets was his knife. He would open up doors with it. One time we were at a park, and my sweater got caught on one of the swings. Guess what he took out? The Swiss Army knife, and it even had a little scissor, and he cut that little string. So this is a great analogy to use for a toolkit, because again, a toolkit should be that tool that you pull out when that kid needs, or when that student needs help with elaboration, or maybe it's, you see that student that writes a sentence that never ends. What do you do then? Or when you have those students that need help with leads. So that's the why. That's why we should have a toolkit. So let's move on. Oops.
Okay.
The how.
So now we're going to show you a short video on the how-to of the writing toolkit. And as you're watching the video, we want you to note this. Take a couple of notes note down what different components are they including in this. And this is the video that you're going to see. It's an actual tangible toolkit that you probably would have in your classroom. But using that idea, what components will you be able to identify and use in your own that you think that you'll be able to use virtually? These are how to make a writing toolkit in 5 steps. We're going to show you a couple. Okay, so I think this was it, right, Heidi?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So do you want to share again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And while you guys are going back to Heidi's screen, a question in the chat was, is the toolkit for teachers or for students? Some people were thinking that they were for students, but what's in the video, that's a lot for, little 5-year-old Johnny to have. So I guess, yeah, is it for teachers or for students?
Sarah, can you stop your there you go. Okay, this is a toolkit for you as a teacher. Remember that Swiss Army knife? So this is the knife that this is the tool, this is the box that you're gonna pull out every time you see a student struggling. And you're gonna open it up and you're gonna have that just right lesson for that student. So that's what this is. So there are 4 steps that we went through to create our virtual toolkit. So the first one was we needed to decide on a format, because if you think, and if you have had a toolkit, and they usually are done by genre. Mine, I had these great pockets. I don't know if you can see them there. I also had a folder at one time with a lot of my tools in it. I don't know if you can see it from there because of my background. But so the first one is, format and tool. Number 2, plan and label your sections. The third step is now you got to gather all your teaching materials and note-taking materials. And then you're going to organize and add the links. We're going to go now into every single one of these more in depth.
Okay, so the first one that we have is the Jamboard. And within the Jamboard, you can create, the nice thing about the Jamboards is they have the little stickies that look very similar to the Teachers College sticky idea, where you could add mentor text, and add your little stickies for your notes. You can also embed within the Jamboard within your Google Slides. The nice thing about Google Slides is that you can add links. So when we did ours, we started with Jamboards and we're like, wait, but we need this and we need that. And so we couldn't add the links to the Jamboard. So then we transferred our Jamboards into our Google Slides. So, it took a little bit of like trial and error, but that's how we got it. Another good one is the Padlet. The Padlet, the nice thing is that you can create your headings on the top and then add all these resources, all the way through across, and then keep on adding resources to the bottom of your categories. So this is one that we have a sample from Lucia Rocha and Jennifer Russo. They're staff developers with Teachers College, and they shared this. And so this was like a good example that we're like, oh, this is great. And another one, this is an example from Pravati. This is what they had, a hyperdoc that you can always just link and add images and have it on hand to use with the kids. Okay. And so now we're gonna have you get into a quick, I know we're running a little short on time, but I've added on the chat a Jamboard. And so the reason why we had you add your grade level and what genre you're on right now is that the idea is that you can start collaborating with like-minded grade levels and start thinking of what sections can you add to your toolkit. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna open up the breakout rooms, and they've already been set up by categories by grade level and genre. So you can choose which one you're going to go into, and then find your Jamboard, and then grab the sticky notes and add your sections that you think you could possibly use. So we'll give you guys a couple of minutes for that.
So this is a template that we created, and we will give you this template. So we took that, we brainstormed, what are we going to put in our toolkit? And remember, this is your toolkit when you meet, when you're going and going to do, conferences with one-on-one or with a small group. Here are the tools that are ready for you to use, that you can use and pull out. So for example, if you click here, it takes you to, I'm sorry, I'm not here. So the first section that we put, and this is where Christy gave us the feedback, we were new to second grade. We were new to doing a toolkit virtually. So we actually created a slide for every single session with the teaching point, and what we needed to use. And some of them we even created videos. So Christy's feedback was, Heidi, Clara, this is too intense. In a toolkit, you just put tools. You don't put every single lesson. So then we went and we created, more sections. And we, for example, here we have one for teaching tools. And this one will take me just to, if I need to do another additional lesson on show and tell, here is my lesson. If I need some students need extra work with revision and editing, or with the planning stages. So this is how we created this, and you will have this here, paper choices. If we, some student needed 6-line papers or 8-line paper. So again, this is a tool that has everything that you need for realistic fiction. Your toolkit should be according your genre. So you will get this. Christy Maratz also told us, okay, why always people use not, books? You should be considered also maybe a movie or a photo. Your mentor text doesn't need to be always a book. So that was a little aha moment for us. And the last step.
Okay, so and this is like, we know that doing everything virtual, that was like a big, like, some of us were ready, some of us were not. Now we're becoming a little bit more professionals at, all the Zoom and adding links here and there. But we did create, Pravati actually created a little video, quick how to add links to slides or a Google Doc. I don't know if I think we're running a little short on time, but this video right here, you want to just play a minute, like a quick?
There's 10 minutes left in the session.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely that's one that I think, we can show that a little bit in the end. But know that on that little video, you'll see kind of like a how to be able to link to the Google Slides. Okay, and then we're also adding, along with the resources that we have at the end of our presentation, we do have another the folder with everything in there. So that's another way of gathering your resources too. having a folder open, and then as you're finding things, PDF files, definitely saving them onto your drive, into your folder.
So we talked about the 4 steps. We said the first thing for you is decide what platform works for you. It may not be the one that we use, might be a different one. You plan and you label your sections, and then you gather all your teaching tools and your note-taking tools. And remember, this is your Swiss Army knife. This is for you to use when you are with one student, when you're with a small group. And then the last step is now you have to put all the links because it's virtual. And again, what we're giving you and what you're going to be gathering, you can, once we open up schools, we have at our district, we have not, but you can print all that out and create a physical toolkit. So we want to end with this quote that says, the good gardener works to create fertile soil that can sustain a whole ecosystem of different plants with different strengths. Those are your students, and beauties with different weaknesses and difficulties too. We love to make the analogy with a plant. I used to be a kindergarten teacher, and I used to start always my writer's workshop at the beginning of the year, planting a little seed with them, because I wanted them to see that writers, they grow. As you learn more strategies, as you learn more, are part of more lessons, you start to grow. And not everybody needs the same. And that's the beauty of having a toolkit, because Johnny may need something different than Maria. So now.
And then knowing that don't feel overwhelmed, like I have to have this amazing toolkit my first year. Each year, you will also be growing in your craft and adding to that toolkit for the following year, and and so on. Oh, I can also use this for this other genre. So, you will be growing and your kids will be growing as well.
So here we have a list of resources. Oops, sorry. Oops.
The first one.
Here. So we have a list of resources, and we're not gonna go through every single one. We just want to highlight a few. For example, here, if you would like to know where we bought some of the materials to do the physical toolkit, here is a list of an Amazon shopping list that you can go and follow. I highly recommend that you follow this blog from Kate and Maggie, and they actually they have many lessons here, but they create little mini lessons to put in your toolkit, and what they call DIY. This is them, and you can, again, I highly recommend that you follow them. They have many lessons you can put in your toolkit, or you can replicate. Clara?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and click on that one. And like we showed earlier, I really like how the Padlet kind of helps you keep organized, and even you can have it if you're walking around. Well, that's when you were virtual, but even if you're doing your quick conference, with your students, you can easily pull up your Padlet and, go to a mentor text that you have already saved up, and add and just click on it real quick. Or if you want to show any samples, you have them there. It's just like a really easy way and appealing, organized way to show your stuff. This was another example that we were able to get from being part of the Christy Moraz group. Other coaches and fellows and mentors were able to join, and just to show you that there's different approaches. This one was done with just Google Slides, and starting with the writing process. You want to remind your students always that, even having some of your anchor charts, examples of the mentor text, and like that mindset to get them to understand, the genre within that you're trying to explain. Let's see.
And one thing that we have done with our students is, now that they're writing, now that you are conferring with them and you helping them to be better writers and grow as writers and see themselves as writers, is always good to have an audience. And so this was a project I did last year where the kindergartners, I was a kindergarten teacher, they were writing for high school students. And here are the high school students and their books. So again, another idea to display now, the products and celebrate them as writers. And here, great tool is Book Creator or Adobe Spark. This is right now what we're doing in second grade, an informational unit. And as they publish their books, everybody can read them and enjoy. So again, they have an audience. So that was our presentation in a nutshell. Just remember that a toolkit, you have if you're following the units of study, you have your mini lessons. But a toolkit is that extra support that you have, is that Swiss Army knife that my grandpa had, that every time there was a problem or every time I needed to support the student with something, remember is our students are all different and they all come with different needs. The units of study don't have all those lessons there. So this is your toolkit, and it could be a physical one. And we're giving you today some of the tools to create a virtual one. And so the nice part is, like, I walk into my breakout rooms with my second graders, and when I see, John Paul needs something on editing, I can click and I'm prepared. And my lesson is right there and I can, help them. So that's what a toolkit should be about.